Who are your heroes and inspirations coming up?
Well, it's been an amazing event, the Rock and Roll Autograph Show. I find that, it's just so iconic I didn't use the right word. It's kind of, it's been a long weekend, but it's kind of amazing to meet people that are so iconic, that, shaped the radio, sounds when I was growing up.
Foreigner and Grand Funk. And
even before that, we're talking, really small childhood years when, you didn't have the authority to change the radio station from your parents because you're probably too little to be in charge of that yet, and then or even ask, and then you were at a point where Beatles were playing on the radio, and bands that were around were here. Three Dog Night and bands like that. I mean, it's just amazing.
Standells with Dirty Water.
Standells.
Or, all that.
And I mean, there's just a list of names and people, and these people are just some of the coolest people to talk to and meet and just learn. I mean, I'm learning about different people and getting a chance to talk to them. And one of the things is a good example is Lou Gramm from Foreigner, who to me was really the pinnacle of singers out of the kind of the stable of singers. If you pick Journey, Foreigner, Boston, Kansas, there's a few other bands you could probably add to the list, but those were kind of the primary bands of some of the most successful, album-oriented rock or AOR bands out of the 70s and 80s.
I mean, you had Foreigner headline in Angel Stadium with opening acts like Iron Maiden, Scorpions, people like that. I mean, people don't remember how mega it was.
They probably had, those were some heavy bands to open up for them. But, they've toured, for years and been around for a long time, have millions of albums out there, obviously. But, once you put that all aside and say, okay, well, let's just get down to the real person behind all that, because, of course, when someone's got mega media going on and they have all these albums, all these platinum gold albums, and they've got all of this TV video stuff, to actually meet the person and to actually be able to have a one-on-one conversation. So I talked with Lou and I asked him, I said, hey Lou, I just want to tell you, this is exactly what I said. I think your singing I really appreciate, because Steve Perry, who is a really great guy, I met Steve Perry. I love Steve Perry. He's a nice, really cool guy. Great singer, obviously, but as a person, really cool guy. So, Lou is really cool. And Steve Perry, actually, he sings with a little bit more vibrato. Being that I'm a singer, I look at the stuff. So, and Lou Gramm was always very to the point. His vocals were always like right to the point. There was never extra wavering or stuff, and his tonality. And I just loved his voice and loved the way that he punctuated his phrasing, because it was just right to the point. He didn't screw around. And what was cool is that Steve Perry, a little bit more vibrato, and then Brad Delp was another kind of singer that was really melodic voice, really had a range. I think his range was even, pushing the envelope maybe a little bit more than Lou Gramm or Steve Perry, like going for high notes, as Foreigner, as Boston would do. But the thing that was really cool about Lou is that, with the songwriting that he was part of, and just the songs, different kinds of songs. Some were heavy, some were more melodic, some were just piano songs. Some were just these We Are the World kind of songs, like I Want to Know What Love Is and stuff. Just a jukebox hero. Just amazing songwriters. His team, Mick Jones and Lou Gramm, and the band Foreigner. But I just thought it was amazing to just say, hey, who influenced you? And because I'm looking at it, more.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
Yeah, so I said you influenced me, but who influenced you?
Yeah.
And that became more of the question I was asking these guys. So he told me that Aretha Franklin was one of his influences. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I would have thought Paul Rodgers, which is what he told me.
Right.
And then I thought to myself, well, damn, I'm sure Paul Rodgers probably listens to you. You know what I mean? Because Foreigner,
Yeah.
But it's kind of, that's a compliment on the largest scale, having, because Paul Rodgers is a fabulous singer and Lou Gramm's a fabulous singer, and having, I'm sure there's the mutual kind of respect that happens. So it's just kind of like appreciating other baseball pitchers, I guess.
Yeah.
Who's kicking ass and who's, taking names and just has that delivery.
Yeah, you see everybody has influences, and we're all kind of in this together, and it's a big melting pot. And like you say, Lou may have been originally influenced by Paul, but Paul in the 70s might have been thinking, man, I need to, take a note of Foreigner, man. They were hit-making machine,
Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Tell us how you became the original singer of Anthrax. How did that all come about?
Well, that's not too fascinating of a story, but I'll tell it.
Okay.
The reason it's not fascinating is because there was an ad in a magazine called Good Times magazine in New York, which was kind of a Long Island and New York paper. You go into record stores and different places, and you'd be able to pick up one of those Good Times magazines. Kind of like in different cities, they have those ones with the classified ads and the music paper.
The Recycler, LA Weekly.
Well, this one was more back in the 70s, 80s at the time, and it was a little more pages because they got a lot thinner as time went on. Budgets got less and less for that kind of stuff, or advertising sales. But what was interesting is that they, I would look through there and just see what bands were looking for stuff. There wasn't very much in the classified ads. It was just very slim pickings usually. And so I started. I mean, in the past, I put up ads saying singer available or vocalist available, or I looked at ones that said singer wanted, vocalist wanted. And you'd read this stuff over the months and see different stuff in there. So I said, okay. So I put up this ad. I hooked up with this band called AMRA, which is a comic book lion. First, I was with that band for a few months, very short time, and these guys had this really high-end PA system that they bought, and back then, clubs didn't always provide the PA system in New York, so you needed to have that. And the band also had some pretty cool original songs, so we were working on some things, and then it didn't work out with that band. But during that time that I was in that band, that's when Anthrax, Scott from Anthrax, he had contacted me while I put that ad out, and this was like afterwards. So I already joined this band, I was in that band for a month, and that's when he called me. So I said, well, I already got a band, I wasn't thinking like kids think today and think they're going to be in 17 different bands. I rode one horse, that was what I did. So I was an AMRA, and I basically didn't give him a positive response saying, hey, I'll go and audition for your band too, at that point. So what happened is, actually a month went by, and after I left AMRA, like a month or two later, they had an ad out looking for a singer. So Scott called me, and then I just called him back and said, hey, I actually left this band, so I'd be available to try out,
Sure.
So it was not a really exciting story, but it's just kind of, it just kind of happened.
And they were a garage band from Brooklyn at the time?
No, they're in Queens, and they weren't a garage band. They were, playing clubs, play small clubs or churches or whatever they were playing before. I joined them in the rehearsal studio, but what took place is, we got together. They came over to my house, and I went over we met one time with the members of the group, some of the members, and we played some tapes. So they played a tape, I played a tape, and then we said, okay, well, this is our starting point, and from there we planned to go to rehearsal and learn. So I'd learn the songs and then go and rehearse them, and then they had a show in 2 weeks. They already booked. So, or actually, it wasn't 2 weeks from the time that we met. It was, it was a little further out, maybe a month out. But I joined the band like 2 weeks later, and then the show was 2 weeks later. So within a month period.
Jumped right in.
Yeah. So at that point, I knew Scott from going to high school with him, and he never really was very warm to me in the first place, and not very friendly. And I never really understood kind of, once we were in the band together, why there was always this, like some people you go and hang out with and socialize with or have, at first there was a little bit of that, but, there was always other people excluded, and I never really understood what that was about, but I later found out what true narcissism sociopathic behavior is, and then better understood what I was experiencing. But at that age, I wasn't really, I was like 20 years old, and who would have known that it was that complex of an issue that goes maybe back to someone's childhood upbringing. But in my case, I was just, wearing my heart on my sleeve, just, doing it for the music. I wasn't in the music business to meet chicks or to go and, be a cool rock star. I just like the music.
Sure.
I mean, it's nice that there's other things that could go along with that, but of course getting paid is nice, but it wasn't the prerequisite. I mean, the idea was I just love the music that much.
Have fun, do what you love to do.
Yeah, it was a passion about being from inside and from here to here.
Yeah.
And that was really it for me. But other people have different directions that they want to go in, and then different. It's politics and a lot of ass kissing, and I just homie don't play that shit. I don't do that. I'm just out to do what I can do, and once I joined that band, they thought that or at least Scott may have thought that he was going to control the situation and control me, and that was not what I signed on for. So that's what happened. Eventually, is I was out of the band because you had, bullies ganging up on someone, trying to get them to do what they wanted to do. And then the way that it all works out in the end is that they wanted to write the songs, and I was writing lyrics and songs and coming up with ideas like Metal Thrashing Mad and Death Rider and all this stuff. So going back to your original question of how I joined the band. Well, yeah, when I walked in the door, it was with an earnest effort, with pure heart effort.
Yeah.
To make the best music possible and go out there and kick some ass. And we evolved as a group during that time, and put out a great record, Fistful of Metal. It recorded the way it was recorded sounded like it was recorded in a dumpster, because it was just poorly mixed, and the timing of how it was done didn't leave a lot of time to do the vocals properly and give it enough consideration as far as time. But in the end, the end result was it was an album that was well received and people liked it, and the band's going strong, doing what they do, and power to them.
Yeah.
As far as me, Death Riders has been together, since early 2001, and we've been playing concerts across the world. We've been in Europe and in Japan and Mexico, U.S. and North America, and we're looking forward to releasing our album, which we're recording right now. We did at Swing House Studios in Los Angeles. And Swing House is where Aerosmith did their last release.
Absolutely. Jack Douglas.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that, because we got our drums done and just finishing up our other tracks, working on that. I mean, there's work to do, but I'm just saying we're doing that part of it. So that's really what's in store from Death Riders. And I didn't mean to take the first question and drag it all the way down the road here, but just it kind of makes it kind of connect the dots.
Well, that's where we're going to head with this anyway, but all that you've been through and the perception you have out there, what advice would you give to that young band or young singer coming up today? It's a different world, but they got music in their heart. What do they need to concentrate on and maybe not worry about to stay focused on finding their own style and their own playing?
Well, I think that's an important thing to do is, some people are copycats and some people are originators. And I think you have to have, the love of the passion of what you do to take it to the next level. You have to, have an idea of where you want to go with it. But I think, depending on what's important to you, then it becomes commitment. How bad do you want to do this and why? Do you want to do this because you just want to be on stage and have a light shine on you so you can be the popular guy up front? You want to be in the middle of the stage? Or do you not give a shit about where you're standing on stage? The light will follow you wherever you end up being, and just give it the best performance you can give. And that's really kind of what I feel. I don't really, I don't have to fight for pole position and be in the center of the stage. But yeah, I'm the lead singer, and well, it kind of makes sense that that's where I would be. But I've been on stage with people where, the person is pushing you out of their way. They're trying to steamroll you out of the stage area. And, I'm a big boy. I can take someone and throw them in the crowd if that's what they're going to do to me. I could take their, I could push them back, but we don't want to go there. But I'm just saying it's like, that's just not a way to behave. It's not respectful. It's not, but there's a lot of narcissists in this business. And it's so amazing when you look at different people, and their insecurities and their I mean, that's something to be aware of. And if you're starting a band or becoming getting into being in bands and there's great musicians that you want to play with, the first thing you should do is take a reality check and see, what's this person about? Don't worry about what they play. Worry about what kind of person they are. That would be my advice, because you can get great musicians that suck as people. They're just the shittiest people. But then there's the most awesome people. Like I had the opportunity here at the Rock and Roll Autograph Show to meet, the Black Oak, Arkansas guys.
Yeah.
Some of the best humans on the planet. I mean, just wonderful people. Artemis Pyle from Leonard Skinner. And I actually had a chance to hang out with him a bit today, and just some really amazing people. And those guys are just, they're serious, get shit done, take care of business kind of guys. I mean, they're used to, traveling and being on the road and being on a schedule, and they're also, they like to have fun too. But like Artemis, being in Skinner, I mean, that's a serious band. That's like no bullshit at all. And we were talking it was just cool to be even on a level, because he saw our band play yesterday, Death Riders, and my band, and it was just, he was very complimentary to the band, to myself, to our drummer. I mean, it's like, how did you hold those notes for so long, and as high as you did it for as long as you did? And I mean, coming from the drummer from Leonard Skinner, who was the original guy, I mean, wow, he was in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's complimenting me on my music. It's like, wow, that's kind of that's kind of like a deja vu or something, like, surreal. But that's the kind of thing that I've worked for in my career, and I believe that you have to stay true to what you do and really be committed. And Michelangelo, who's a very good friend, Michelangelo Badia, who also had a chance to play with yesterday, he really talks about practicing, and they talk about how practice makes perfect. Well, I agree with Michael, because practice does not make perfect. You should practice a lot, but if you practice incorrectly, then you'll be absolutely great at doing things incorrectly. So you want to understand what is doing it correctly, and perfect practice makes perfect. That's the only kind of practice, and I think that's something that's really a key to understand. If you're not at the level where you can understand that, well, you have to educate, you have to absorb that, and kind of process how to do that. And guitar, vocals, I mean, at least with a guitar, you can see where the notes are. You can look at the guitar and say, here's where the note is. On a voice, you can't see it. You can try to read music, but you can't look inside your head and say, oh, well, where's the note? It's kind of a different animal altogether. So from a vocal standpoint, yeah, there's a magic to it. There's a way to do it inside your head, but you don't really have it kind of formulated like a guitar, or a keyboard. You can't just say, or a drum, you can't just say, here's where the note is. So it's there's some challenges in the different instruments, but I think the best way to approach that is really pick up the instrument. It's a beautiful instrument. Get yourself a nice instrument that you're happy with, that that inspires you to want to play. I have guitars that I want to play. I want to go home and go play my guitars, but I have to go to a recording studio and go sing for the St. Jude's benefit that we're doing with Dick Wagner, who was with Alice Cooper. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm actually heading out. But I just want to say that really taking the care to dig down, go to the next level, and drill it down to understand what is the correct way to practice. And I think as you learn over the years, it takes time. And back to my Michelangelo point is that he puts in to be good at something, you have to spend 10,000 hours at it.
Yeah,
it's a hell of a lot of hours. But to be really good at something, and I think sometimes it can take more if you're doing it wrong. If you're not doing it correctly, it can take a lot longer. So you don't want to spend 10,000 hours of incorrect practice, right? So that's really the key thing to think about. And another thing is, go study law. Read about law. If you're a kid and you're trying to, get ahead in life and want to play music, well, become a lawyer. Read law, because people will rip you off. They will rip you off. Record companies will rip you off. Managers will rip you off. Agents will rip you off. Promoters will rip you off. Clubs will rip you off. Band members will rip you off. People will rip you off. So study law, because you need to. You'll need to sign stuff. You'll need to read stuff. You'll need to sign stuff without reading it because you don't have time, but you need to read it so you can understand what's going on. Because the only way to do it is to pull off the hood and get into the engine and go underneath the engine and see how it's mounted, figure it all out. You know, take the guitar apart, put it back together. Maybe you're not that kind of person, but if you at least think that way, to go, you know, to find out the next level, to dig down, you know, drill down a little deeper, you know, that's going to help you to become, you know, give you some answers. So this way you can understand how, you know, to approach it. But as a singer, I think, you know, picking the singers that you really like the best and, you know, learning how they sing is a good thing. Is a good place to start, and trying to, you know, master how they're doing what they do. Then once you're at that point, then you can actually, you know, pick up on some of the different nuances of these different singers, like Stevie Wonder, you know, who's an amazing master. I mean, to even sing like Stevie. I saw a video of Stevie Wonder the other day when he was singing. I actually saw him sing with Steve Winwood.
Let's take a picture.
And he was singing "Gimme Some Lovin'," I think, and somehow he started singing like the wrong lyrics in the chorus, and I was like, and then he just pulled out it, like he totally fixed the problem, like he pulled out of it and doing a Stevie little nuance that he does, you know, his own inflections, and he just kind of pulled out of it. But I heard him go into the wrong lyric, which, you know, we're only human, right? Sure. Even Stevie Wonder, but you know, except Stevie Wonder's superhuman, but. The thing that's amazing is that, you know, he's so pro. He just pulled right out of it. Nobody even noticed. And this is a big concert, but I noticed because I was listening. And that's exactly what you need to do. You need to find those things. And sometimes the mistakes make the music beautiful. The Rolling Stones are a great example. Push-pull type of feel to their music. A lot of times, you know, it's push or pull. It's like swagger and stagger. And, you know, just to have, you know, just a vibe that works like that. It's not meant to be perfect. It's not meant to be, you know, the mistakes are what makes it art, and that's what makes it beautiful, because there's these mistakes that work for the song. So you don't want to clean it up so much with all the technology that you don't have the personality of the song in the recording, and that's the way I approach it, both live and both, you know, in the studio. But live, of course, you want to be spot on, and in the studio, you know, you don't want to pull out the character and the beauty of the artwork by removing every mistake, because sometimes mistakes are things that work for the song.
That's good.